What's going on? We're in the world of Dokkan. As you can see, got the Broly background because you know Broly is OG. And speaking of OG, man, OG Broly has been revitalized. Well, actually, this isn't the OG Broly. This is OG number 2 Broly. But this man got an EZA, yo. He is on some other level shit, bro. Look at this. Attack and defense plus 50%. That's pretty damn good. Attack and defense plus 50% and launches additional super attack when performing a super attack? Yeah, that's pretty damn good too. And then the best thing about this dude in the World Tournament is Ki plus 5 when there's a pure Saiyan, pure Aryan race, or if there's a Mutt. So already I'm in a good mood. But there's something that's making me feel even better right now, okay? Because right now, believe it or not, the market's closed. The market's done. And I'm up 3%. Now the question is, why am I up 3%? Because if you look at my stocks, they ain't doing much. They ain't doing much of nothing. Fucking this, bro, Nokia, I swear to Christ almighty, if in the next 3 years Nokia does not get their shit together, I think I'm going to have to fly to Sweden and fucking bitch slap the CEO. But look at that, bro. You already know I'm on that big brain doggy wave. Now, the reason why I'm such a big brain genius and why I'm such a megalomaniac, non-retard is because I bought Doggy for, how much was it? I think it was legit $40. $41, August 12, 2019, 14,000 Doggy. I bought it as a joke because one of my friends bought it and I bought it just to like join in. I legit forgot I owned this because it's $40. Like it was such a small part of my portfolio. I've never noticed it and I don't scroll down to look at the cryptos and it's like $40, whatever, you know what I mean? Let Doggy have it. But as you can see, some people, when this hit 40 cents, people were like, oh boy, I should buy now before it hits $1. Wrong. I'm still up 4,000%. This shit go down to fucking 10 cents, I'm going to be up 2,000%. So at the end of the day, we winning. So Elon Musk, go ahead, tweet some more retards online. Please buy my bags. That's what I'm looking for. That's the thing that's the most important thing and the thing that I'm interested in the most. Is if I can just get a couple of bags bought and I'll feel great. As you can see, World Tournament. To be completely honest with you, as great as this World Tournament is, like most things in life, when you finally get what you want, you no longer want it. I'd be lying if I told you I'm sitting here and I'm gonna play this World Tournament the entire week and this is all I care about. I don't, okay? I like Dokkan, it's a fun game, but they pretty much fucked. Like it's whatever. Like they have not added enough for me to be like hyped because the World Tournament's alright, but it's always been a ridiculous time grind and it's always been like whatever. Like dude, the rewards aren't even that good. I ain't even gonna lie. The last time a World Tournament character came out where I was like, I need that character, like I need that man, is probably like Int Bardock, like the OG Int Bardock. It's like that was actually useful. Like that card was actually useful. Now it's like, oh, wow, here's Kid Gohan or Kid Goku that you're never going to put in a team because they're ass, and it's like, whatever. But, you know, even if it was amazing, I probably still wouldn't do it because right as I speak, I am downloading Nier Replicant, which is the, pretty much, I think it's a prequel or sequel or like at least spiritual successor to Nier Automata in terms of story. It came out before Nier Automata. Nier Automata was God tier. So I have high hopes for this game, Nier Replicant. I know it's a remake, so, you know, it might not necessarily be as good. I know one thing that they did do with this remake that's better than Demon Souls remake. God damn, that was an ass remake. That wasn't even a remake. They literally just ported over the game to PlayStation 5. They're like, yeah, you know, all the same combat, nothing updated, all the same bullshit. It's still here. But for Nier Replicant, they're actually updating the game, the fight, I don't know what I don't want to say. I want to say fight cinematography, but it's not like it's more like the battle mechanics. They're updating that from Nier Automata because the Nier Automata had a pretty good like kind of like a Bayonetta-esque or Devil May Cry type of combat system. It was pretty fun. It was pretty good. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I'll be able to beat it this weekend. Probably not. And I'll tell you right now, I am Mr. Workhorse. I'm actually pretty happy that the company I ended up joining, I guess I'll go for that. The company I ended up joining, basically I've been putting in OD work And I put in so much work that I'm actually planning on doing like an information session. Cause like, dude, what's crazy is like, if I didn't already have work experience, and like I came into this role, I would be like, holy shit, like this is so fucking hard, like this is so ridiculous. It's good because like you do work, like you actually do work during the day, like at my old job, like we basically got to the point where we were like babysitting the project, and like there was layoffs and a whole bunch of like mismanagement and planning. So like for a while we were just doing like small feature updates and small additions, which honestly like left at least I'd say 3 hours of free time per day to do whatever you want. I ended up doing studying for interviews. I don't know what other people did, basically. For this new job, I ended up getting like my second project, a fat ass like Omega Shenron fat ass project. Like it's legit. Like in order for me to do this, I had to create what it is basically part of it. With the most annoying part of it was DNS registration and DNS allocation, which is cancer no matter what. But what gets me so upset is the fact that a lot of what you have to do is in a replica system or like in an old system that isn't in AWS. So like our service is going to be in AWS, but what we're communicating it with is not AWS. And because it's not in AWS, you can't use AWS like dude, when you like if you have everything in AWS, you're chilling, bro. You're like God tier chilling. Like you want to communicate with another service, it's like you either put a role, you can put either a relationship, or if you want to just have no relationship and a signature, you could end up just using AWS for signing signature, which is already taken care of by AWS. It's kind of like Oauth, but the AWS version of it. God tier. But because what we're communicating with is outside of AWS, we have to basically use Oauth. Oauth is always annoying. I've never not been annoyed by Oauth. It still blows my mind that people were able to like quote unquote hack Dokkan and figure out the Oauth signature. I don't know how like the only way that's possible, and it probably is likely, is that like the way they were managing their Oauth token was like brain dead to the point that it was like in memory. Either way, but that's besides the point. I've basically been in the process of updating a service to use Oauth, and as part of that, you need to have DNS allocation. That DNS item then needs to have, for every service under it, have its own like host area, have its own domain. Like it's all like drainage networking. Like networking is like there's so many ways you could screw it up, and there's so many ways it could be like wrong. And for me, I'm new at the company, so like there's like different things. Like instead of Maven, there's like an internal version of Maven. If you've ever done anything with like configuration and builds, you know that Maven can be super annoying. And then when you finally get used to Maven, now all of a sudden you're in this like different area of existence with this internal tool. So that was another part of like learning that tool, learning how to do different things. It's been good because I'm learning, but at the same time I'm like, God damn, bro, like this is crazy amount of work for a new hire to do. Bro, when you join Amazon, there ain't no difference between you being a new hire and you being like a regular employee, except for one thing. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm gonna get to it soon enough. And that's like every software company ever, except for maybe Google, has a concept where once you ship your software to production, you then now have to monitor it and make sure it's working. And if there's any issues, you need to resolve them. So that's probably going to be the task or be the item that I'm going to do next, which is basically being an on-call. And the reason why people hate on-call so much, at least at most software companies, is the fact that you literally have to be on-call 24 hours a day, essentially. Now, ideally, you wouldn't be. Ideally, you'd just be like, oh, there's some small things I need to change during office hours. Oh, not a big deal. But say if you build software and this is why being on call will make you you better test your shit. You better not be shipping garbage fucking software, you piece of garbage, because I'm not trying to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to deal with this shit. But basically, when you're on call, it essentially means that you're gonna get alerts, you're gonna get phone calls, you're gonna get text messages saying, hey, this system isn't working, or hey, this needs to update, hey, this, that, and the third. If it's like super important, you'll get paid in the middle of the night. This is annoying, but at the same time, like, yeah, if that happens, you're gonna be more responsible and take care of things. But you know, it is. I'm not gonna lie. If I were to move to a different company that has that ideology of like, okay, there's people who make the software, and then there's people who like monitor it, and if there's an issue, they cut a ticket. That I would love that. I would love to experience that. I personally have not had a horrible on-call experience, like in terms of like at my old company, and so far at this company, I haven't done on-call, but I haven't had a like super duper negative experience where I'm like, oh my god, I'm up 4 o'clock in the morning doing this shit. Or like, oh my god, I'm doing that. But you know what's weird is that, like, once you get used to like building your software and updating it, like on-call sounds like it's cancer because it low-key is, but at the very same time, like if I like I would want someone to be on call, if it's not someone from the team, someone, so that if there is an issue that it's brought up and, you know, you're like, hey, you know, this happened or that happened, and we're basically trying to update it and figure out what the problem is. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, this is going to sound really corny, and, like, I don't even want to believe it, but I can't sleep if I know there's an issue at work. Like, it bothers me. Like, I could sleep, obviously. I could go to bed, but it'll bother me. Like, if I went to bed knowing there was a production issue, and, like, it's like, oh, we can't do anything until tomorrow, I would be like, fuck, that would bother me. Like, that would be, like, irritating. And even the thing that bothers me the most, like, for my job that I don't like, is that sometimes when you, like, leave for the day with an unanswered question, it can literally, like, fuck up your vibe. Like, if you let it, it'll fuck up your vibe. Like, there's been times, especially, like, now I'm a new employee, there's a lot of things I don't know. So, like, when I go to fucking, like, update something or do something with something I don't know about, and I read a fucking 8 million page wiki page, and I'm like, oh my god, like, this is literally, like, raping me. And then when it comes time to quit, basically, you know, it's the end of the day, let's just give up. It's like, dude, like, I feel like I'm so close, like, I don't want to give up. And that definitely, in the past and even now, there's been times where I've, like, worked, like, 1 or 2 hours over because, like, that bothers me that much. Like, I can't, like, I'd rather legit, like, spend 2 hours late at work and then the next day, like, start later or whatever, do whatever, basically, than to, like, just, like, cut it off, be like, whatever, I'm done for the day. And that, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly, because I know that, like, in an idealistic world, like, you would just be like, oh, okay, I'll do this tomorrow, and it'll work out, and it'll be great. But, like, sometimes when there's an issue and you're trying to figure it out, like, even with homework, when I had homework, like, I'd rather stay up late than, like, quit and then come back the next day, because I feel like you're basically losing all the time you spent for that day. Like, if I have a problem and I spend 4 hours trying to solve it and then I fall asleep and wake up the next day, then the next day when I go to look at the problem again, I'm going to take at least an hour to remember what the fuck I was doing. Be like, okay, what was the issue? Oh, yeah, that was the issue. What was I trying to do? Oh, yeah, that's what I was trying to do. So, like, I feel like you spending that extra 2 hours is going to save you 3 hours the next day, because it would have taken you an hour to remember what the fuck you were doing and then 2 hours to solve it, if it really was 2 hours. But then again, at the same time, with that same exact point I just made, there's been times where, like, whether it be homework or even at work, where, like, oh, there's something, like, I don't know what the issue is, blah, 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 and then you just give up because you just, spend whatever amount of time on it, and then the next day you go in, you look at it, and you go, oh, wait, can't I just do this? Like, you have a fresh pair of eyes, and it ends up working out. But at the end of the day, you're going to be miserable either way. Like, look at me. I found a way to be miserable whether I work a little late or just give up and go in the next day. But I tell you right now, one thing I will never, ever, ever in a million trillion years ever do is the whole, like deadline fascination. Like, granted, sometimes things go behind, sometimes deadlines are not met, things of that nature happen. But I'm never going to be Mr. like, if I work on the weekend, then we could hit the deadline. I'd rather get fired. I'll be honest with you. I'd really rather get fired, because what's the point of working? Say if I worked at my job, it's been like 2 months now. Like, let's just say I worked the weekend. To survive and do the work, I worked the weekend. what's the point of that? Then now that basically means that there's 16 hours of work I'm doing that now that basically degrades my salary, and that basically makes it like the money I'm making now I'm putting more hours, so it's like, okay, what, like, is this a pay bump? Like, if I'm working more and more stressed and I'm like at this company, then what's the point? Like, I should just go back to my old company or go to a different company where it's like less stressful, or somewhere where I know more, where I can be successful. Like sometimes failure is like, it's not failure. Like if I was working somewhere and let's just say that they have all like problematic software, and they're like, yeah, well, we're just going to ship this, we're not going to test this, and then like some way somehow you end up getting fired because it's like, oh, there's too many bugs in your code, and it's like, well, I literally was given no time to test it. Then like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's a toxic work environment, or like an environment that like success is rare in, or hard in rather. So it is what it is. And I don't know, for me personally, I've been liking my job a lot, which is surprising to me because based off internet posts, I thought Amazon was literally like hell incarnate. But I definitely do like it. I like it a lot. I tell you one thing I like. Even before I started talking to the senior engineer, even before I started talking to my teammates, even before my manager was like, yo, you doing a good job, bro. You putting in work. Before all of that, you know what made me like the job, made me feel real good, is when that payday came and I saw I was basically making 80% of what I made at my last job, like for the month, in 2 weeks. I was like, damn, that's a nice addition right there. That's a nice update, which is crazy. Like for me, I basically so far with all that wallet that's coming in, what I've done is I've increased the amount of money I'm saving because I am trying to buy a house. And then if I do get a house and I end up having like a secure, like a blanket of funds, like for me, this is my dream. This would be my dream, right? My dream would be to have a home, own a house, right? Have a house, basically have like 100 grand in your savings account just there in case of emergency, right? That'd be like that would be like, oh, I like that a lot. And then on top of that, after all the bills are paid, everything is like eliminated, you know what I mean? Like your bills are paid, groceries, blah blah blah, whatever. You still have 2 grand or so to put away for savings, like either for savings or investing. I probably would do a split of put a grand away, and then put a grand in the market or something like that. Me personally, I don't believe it's a weird thing. Like I'm making a lot more money. That is true, and I have saved a decent amount of money. Like I'm not a broke boy, right? Oh man, what the hell? The fuck! I didn't mean to do that. I'm not a broke boy, right? I have some money saved. But in all reality, like, I feel like one wrong move and I'd be back to square one. Like, if I lost my job, I would not be able to afford things for a long time. If I, for some reason, like, basically bought a house right now in this fucked economy and overpaid and basically made it so I had zero savings, like, I would be stressed out. Like, I literally, like, the more money I make and the more money I save, like, the more at peace I feel. Like, I'm just, like, I feel so great. And the less I look at my parents' bank account, because I tell you something right now, bro, I got so sick. Like, I got an alert, like, basically for my parents, I have their bank account set up with alerts just in case anything fucky goes on. I know to, like, add money to their account, or tell them, hey, you need to add money because you're on zero, whatever. And I got an alert for, like, what got me so tight, I got an alert for both my parents' accounts. And it was that more money than expected was deposited and the more money than expected was spent. So I just looked, it was because of the stimulus. So, like, my parents got their stimulus checks. I look, it went in, immediately obliterated, immediately eliminated. Like if you got that stimulus, you'd be broke. If you didn't get that stimulus, you'd be broke. And the thing is, like, for me, like, at least from my perspective, it's like, I usually end up paying a portion of the bills. I usually am the one that goes grocery shopping. So, like, my parents, like especially, like, one of my parents, they don't do much. Like, they just buy shit for themselves. Like, they don't really, like, contribute that much, which is fine, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's not really fine because from my perspective, it's like, okay, you don't have to contribute anything. That's fine. But I know that they have credit card debt, and I know that, like, they're literally just digging a hole, and like no matter what I say, no matter what I do, they don't listen. And like the point is, like, how do you have credit card debt when you don't have any bills? How do you have credit card debt when I tell you, like, if you need to borrow money, I'd give it to you, or if you need money, I'd give it to you. So like it's one of those things, like, you can't, like, I've given up at this point in time when it comes to like financial literacy or financial non-retardation. I'm just like, whatever, like, you want to fucking like take out a fucking loan for some reason, go ahead. You want to fucking be retarded, go ahead. Like, whatever. At this point in time, like, I realize like there's only so much I can do. Which honestly, like, it sounds like it's depressing, like it's defeated or just giving up, but that shit is like fucking god tier for your health. Like, ever since I stopped giving a fuck, oh man, I feel so much better. Like, I could care less. And that's another thing, like, the more money I have, the more independent I am, because like for a long time, you know what I mean, like, your parents are fucking retarded, but you don't have a job or any money, so you're like, you have to care, because if you don't care, then like, what are they gonna do? And the thing is, like, my parents, like, it's scary how dumb my parents are with money sometimes. Like, I remember one time my dad didn't look at the terms and service of like a Verizon contract, so every month he was paying $500 for TV, internet, and phone when it should have been $80. So he was like, oh man, I wonder why this is so expensive. And like 3 months went by, so like $1,500 had added up, and $1,500 sounds like either a lot for some people or a little for some. Right now, $1,500, if I had that debt, it would hurt, but I could pay it. But at that point in time, we didn't have $1,500. We didn't have $500, right? So I basically called Verizon and canceled it, and then I asked them, I was like, how come the bill went up so much? And they're like, oh, the reason why it was like that is because whoever made the contract basically made it so that whoever calls a long, quote-unquote, long distance, it's 25 cents per minute. And at that point in time, like, my parents were like living in different areas, and they would talk to each other a lot. So because they weren't within like a 20-mile radius, every time they talked to each other for like an hour or whatever, it was a quarter per minute. So if you think about it, if 60 divided by 4, it ends up being what, 1, and then 20, so that's $15 an hour, right? So add it up, and it ends up being like $400 or $500 a month, and that's not just like them talking. That's like if I call like a pizzeria that's like 30 miles away, it's 25 cents per minute. Like, I saw that, and I'm like, how the fuck do you agree to this? Like, are you fucking retarded? And at the time I was like 14, but it's like, what the fuck? And the same thing, what got me so upset, and here's the thing too, these companies love the fact that customers do shit like this because they get to make a lot of money off of retards. And like, one thing I remember recently is like, for our home router, like, I ended up taking over the bill. Like, I pay for the internet, the phone, whatever. And I was like, how come we're paying $20 a month for this router when it's like $150? And I looked how long we've been paying $20 a month for this fucking like $100 whatever dollar router, and it was like legit 5 years. So $20 a month, right, times 6 is $120 a year. So within 1 year, you're basically paying off your router. So we're basically paid 6 times the amount of fucking money you need to. But that's the thing what companies do. Like, companies love that shit. Anything that with poor people, they love it. Like, poor people can't afford to fucking pay the full price, so they end up doing like monthly shit. Like, that's like fucking like the scheme that they do to fuck up your credit, where it's like, you could buy this $5,000 furniture set, or open up a credit line with us, and it'll only be for 12 months, 0% APR, just pay whatever you can every month. And it's like, it literally is taking advantage of poor people, because it's like, motherfucker, you know I can't afford $5,000 up front. Now I gotta get this credit card. Now I gotta fuck up my credit. And like, that doesn't fuck up your credit too much, but think about it, bro. If you can't afford a sofa for $5,000, then that means you're probably not going to afford a fucking stove for whatever amount of money. So then you go get another credit card with them, and another credit line with them. And what's crazy is sometimes people don't think about it, but like, that shit adds up. It's like, okay, so $5,000 over the course of a year. Oh, okay, let me think. That's like what? How much is that a month? So 5,000 divided by 12 is like 50 divided by 12. So basically $400 a month. So $400 a month ain't nothing to scoff at. Like, so that's a decent amount of money, bro. Like, that's not a small amount. So if you're doing that, and then you go and do fucking like, I need a stove. I need a new stove for $1,000. oh, okay, I could do this another scheme where it's like, oh, I pay it every month. But again, like, it does add up. Like, it's over $100 a month. So, like, then you end up getting into this scheme where you're basically, like, getting finessed by this system of scammers where they're like, oh, it's such an easy low payment of like $99.99 a month, and then you end up basically at the end of the day, if you end up getting to the point where you cannot pay everything off and you get to a point where, like, say you have a balance of like $3,000, that APR is crazy, bro. Like, my dad had a credit card when I first got my job. I took out a fucking loan to pay off his credit card because, well, not really. Part of it was a loan. The other part was a balance transfer. But he had a debt, right, where it was 18% APR. That means that whatever money you owe, essentially you're going to owe 20% more at the end of the month, unless you end up like, or not at the end of the month, usually by the year, unless you end up fucking like some way somehow figuring out how to pay the bill, which is insane, bro. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's the type of shit where you see it and you're like, how is this, like, how is this even possible? First of all, how do people sign up for this? And then second of all, like, how is this allowed? Like, that's some straight liberal socialist shit. But it's like, bro, like, that's the same thing like in 2008 with the financial crisis. That was literally caused by people being predatory, going after poor people and saying, and in their heads going like, this motherfucker cannot afford this house, but I'm gonna make it go through. And not only that, I know this motherfucker's gonna default on this house. We gonna get his money that we can get now, and then after we get the money we can get now, we'll buy back the house and it'll be genius. But what they ended up didn't realize is that they were so greedy and they schemed so fucking much that they ended up basically getting to a point where like they schemed too much, and like they basically created a system that was so large that they didn't have enough equity and money to buy back the houses that they had sold. That literally, that greed is what spurred the housing crisis and then spurred the Great Recession, bro. The only thing good that came out of that was fucking Young Jeezy's album, The Recession. That shit was good. I put on, and Kanye West was on that record too. I put on for my city, on for my city. Just sitting there, the fucking Dow Jones is in the gutter. The goddamn economy is on $0.00, and you're just sitting there listening to Kanye West, a Young Jeezy, and you're like, you know what? This is hard times. This ain't easy, but at least we got this, bro. At least we got this shit in our back pocket. So, at the end of the day, right now the economy is in a pretend state. Like, people think it's good because the stock market's good. I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall, because right now there's like a shit ton of Americans that cannot afford their mortgage. There's a shit ton of Americans that unemployment benefits are going to run out. There's a shit ton of Americans that their stimulus, once that dries up, what the fuck is going to happen? The biggest thing is the mortgage. Like, there's so many people that cannot afford their mortgage, and the only reason they're hanging on to dear life is because of the fact that you can't evict people right now. Like, right now, you cannot evict people. Once that's over and ended, I have no idea what the fuck is going to happen. Like, that is a question that no one has the answer to right now. But realistically, best case scenario, what's going to end up happening for these people is that they somehow get a job, they somehow get back into like financial stability somewhat. They now have a backlog of debt, and now that backlog of debt is basically going to be something that they need to like pay down and basically, buckle down and be basically living paycheck to paycheck, which means if you have so many people that are like financially burdened, that means they're not spending as much. And if they're not spending as much, that means like the consumer market goes down. That means there is going to be a recession somewhere. And that's the good case. That's a good case where people can afford to live just to survive. And more than in reality, a lot of people are going to end up getting evicted. And a lot of people are going to end up being, fucked because like the economy's ass. They can't find a job. They don't know what to do or where to go to. And at this point in time, if this is like this year or next year, it's easy for the president to write it off. It's easy for Congress to write it off. It's easy for these people to write it off because they go, well, it's been 2 years. We never solved the problem. All we did was put a Band-Aid on it. But look how long time has gone by. Like, we're doing a good job, and that's usually what it boils down to. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like some way somehow there'll be like more government action or more. I can't believe I want to say this. More empathy from companies or mortgage companies where they actually like extend some empathy to people. I don't think that's going to happen. That's very unlikely. But the point is, I feel like everything is basically being propped up right now. Stock market's being propped up by the Federal Reserve. The government is propping up people. The laws are propping up like bad things from not coming. It's like evictions would be through the fucking roof if they were allowed to be. Like people are like basically saying like, you know, it's either you or me. Like if I end up not, you know, evicting you, I'm gonna be broke. Thus, then I gotta evict you. But either way, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, one thing to keep in mind is that the human lifespan is temporary. It's not forever. So at the very least, you know, if you're Christian, pray to Jesus. If you're Muslim, pray to Allah. If you're fucking Jewish, pray to Yahweh, whatever. And then hope that you end up going to heaven, and then maybe there you'll be able to afford a house. Maybe there you'll be able to not worry about economic downturn, and everything will be Gucci. Everything will be grand. Everything will be great. So let's get that. And let's get that. I honestly wonder if if the concept of religion didn't exist, how many people would be like not be able to cope with the life they're in. Because I've heard multiple times like when you struggle, bro, when you're struggling and you hit the fucking rock bottom, you just go, listen, at least we got God, at least we got a health, at least we got this, at least we got, like, you find something to look forward to. And like there's a lot of people out there who aren't going on office shooting sprees and aren't like fucking punching their boss in the face just because of the fact that they're like, listen, one day I'm gonna get through this, or one day I'm gonna be at those pearly gates, and I gotta make sure I behave myself. Which is low key why the founders are like, yo, religion, we like religion. There's nothing wrong with that. Keep religion around. So let's see. All right, I'll play the level 30 one time. But either way, as you can tell, it's Saturday. I have awful work. I'm more financially stable than I was in the past. I should be happier, and I am happier, but I'm basically just bitching and moaning right now because, like, it's hard, man. Like, I don't know how, like, I don't know how I would survive if I went to college and I majored in, like, social studies or something like that, where it's the average pay is, like, 40 grand a year. I don't know how you survive, bro. Like, legit, how do you survive? Like, it's one of those things where it's such a struggle. I don't understand it. And like the thing that I don't understand is like I don't even understand like how my parents survived for so long. Like obviously there's government assistance, you know, in terms of food, in terms of even like I remember at one point in time we like had no money and we were just like fuck it, we were resigned to giving up on electricity. And then like the electrical company's like, all right, listen, you broke as fuck, so we're gonna do this in payment plans. And you're like, yo, again, bro, anything for poor people, they're like, yo, got some payment plans, you know, we're going to get the money from you. We understand that you broke as fuck, but we need that money. Give me that money. But yeah, bro, I don't know how the fuck you do that. And the thing that always, like, blows my mind is whenever I see people who are, like, young, they don't have a great job yet, and they already have kids, like, I don't, like, it's my opinion as someone who's younger and was broke as fuck, wait 5 years. I can wait in your ball sack. You can keep me in there. And let me come out when you have a house or a little bit of financial stability. Because right now I'm fucking 28 and I still don't have a house. Like, that's, come on, bro. Like, I'm trying to come out the womb with privilege. Like, I'm trying to come out that bitch and be like, yo, these motherfuckers was out here working while I was in there. Like, they really put in some work. Instead, I come out and, like, already my back is hurting. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to put in work, man. I'm a motherfucking baby. I'm going to have to put in work. Let's see. Fuck it. We just go there. But, yeah, either way, I'm being a negative fuck. I should probably stop being so negative because it's a beautiful day, a new day, a new chance. Let's see. And there's really no reason to be so salty. And plus, like I said earlier, bro, you know what I mean? The thing about life is, like, it's temporary. Like, it's funny because, like, all the things you worry about now, that's one thing that does help me get through, like, quote-unquote stressful situations. Is like you think about all the stressful situations you had in your life, and like after the fact, you could give a fuck. Like I remember in high school stressing about the SATs, and I'm like, oh my god, if I don't get a good grade, I'm going to get a good college. Oh my god, if I don't get a good college, I'm not going to get a good job. And if I don't get a good job, then I'm not going to have a good living. And blah, 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 blah. So like, if you want to, you could stress about everything and be worried about everything and be like, oh my god, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And you might end up getting to quote-unquote success, like you get to a state where like, oh, I'm a millionaire now, or like, oh, I'm a fucking financially stable now. But think about what you gave up to get to that point. Like, if you were stressed the entire time, if you were miserable the entire time, then the experience, like the journey was cancer, and only now are you able to like sit back and relax. That's why I think a lot of people, especially men, because like I'm not gonna lie, you could say that I'm a quote-unquote misogynist. You could say that I'm a fucking woman hater, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I get so salty whenever I hear bitches like talk about men in midlife crises and be like, oh, LOL, they got a fucking midlife crisis. And meanwhile, these bitches are stay-at-home moms, fucking leeches. These hoes ain't never had to go to a fucking job interview. It's like, yeah, you don't know what it's like to fucking go out there, grind, suck your boss's dick, and do a good job for fucking 12, 15 years. Then all of a sudden you realize you're 35, 40, and you're like, holy shit, my cunt wife has contributed nothing to my life, and now I need to figure out how to find happiness now that I'm somewhat stable. Like, bro, like dudes don't start living till they're 30. Like, from 20 to 30, you're basically trying to figure out what job you can excel at and what money you can make. And if you're lucky, you might have enough time in there, like in between, to find a bitch who isn't a complete and utter fucking ungrateful piece of shit who can maybe add something to your life. But that always gets me, because that's like I always hear like hack women comedians say that, where they like clown on dudes for having a midlife crisis. Like, bro, I've been having a midlife crisis since I was 14, where I'm like, fuck, how the fuck am I gonna fucking survive? I right now, I'm living fucking Upton Sinclair's book, The Jungle, bro. Like, and the thing is that, like, in terms of a mindset, I'm struggling on a emotional level, because financially, I mean, I'm struggling financially, but not as bad as some people, bro. Like I said, like, I'm getting more money now. I'm building a base. I at the very least see like the light at the end of the tunnel, where eventually I think I could be financially stable, where like I'd be like, whatever, like I don't mind like buying a house and contributing to that, because I have such a financial basis where I'm not fucking dying. But there's a lot of people who like literally can't afford a fucking apartment, never mind a fucking house. There's people who can't afford groceries. Like, bro, you know how like shitty it feels to go to the grocery store and you don't have enough money, so you gotta put something back like that? You feel like a dickhead. You feel like you're wasting everyone's time. You feel like you shouldn't even be there. And it's like, fuck, like how am I this fucking broke? And the thing is like for me personally, the thing that bothers me the most, like the thing that like gets me so fucking salty, is the fact that I feel like people in America are doing their fair share of the work. Like, I feel like everyone's paying their taxes, everyone's taking the dick up the ass, and these cocksuckers in Congress like refuse to do anything to alleviate shit. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, if within my lifetime they don't fucking stop the bullshit with like Obama foo-foo care and just give people health care if they need it, like, it's not a big brain thing. And the thing that's crazy is people go, well, if we give people health care, then they're not going to want privatized care, and then because of that, what are you going to do? It's like, bro, first of all, let's not sit here and pretend like poor shit is the same as rich shit, okay? Like, when I was on like foo-foo-doo-foo health insurance in college, like, that was like, everywhere I went, like every doctor I went to was like, oh, coincidentally, I'm poor and everyone else here is poor. And the doctors, sometimes they were good, sometimes they're bad. You basically had a mixed bag, but that's with anything. But like, you gotta understand, like when you're poor and with poor people, like, I don't mind that. That's fine by me. But when you're poor and with quote unquote wealthy people, rich people, you feel the vibes, you feel how they treat you, like on a societal level, like not even a government level. Like, they treat you like shit. Like, even like when I went to go buy a house, like I thought at one point in time I had a FHA loan, Federal Housing Association, Federal Housing whatever loan, and the Federal Housing loan, like, it's for people who can't afford things. And, like, again, if you're broke and you have that loan, more than likely people are not going to sell a house to you. Not so much because you're poor, but because of what goes with it and the criteria with it. But that's the point. Like, even when you have things that are there to help people who are, like, financially struggling, there's some bullshit at the end of the tunnel that ends up fucking it up. But my point is, like, dude, I pay so much in taxes. There's people who pay even more in taxes. And collectively, what do we end up spending on? It's like, all right, you have the military budget, fair enough. But, like, what about, like, all the shit? Like, bro, like, do you really need to drone strike niggas in Pakistan every day? Like, can't you not do that and just, like, maybe, like, figure out this bullshit? Here's the thing, why you need to make health insurance just, like, fuck it, you gotta do it. because you're never ever going to make pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies not be scumbags. Like, they are literal fucking cancer. Like, they literally want to suck your money dry, take all your money, and then God forbid if you get cancer, they're like, all right, we can't cover this, we can't afford this, we can't do that, what are you going to do? And like, bro, like, legit in this country, like, if I ever got cancer, I'd be like, all right, this is game over. Like, I'm gonna be like that's it. Like, this is literally going to financially bankrupt me, and it's gonna be the point where, like, I'm gonna be miserable. Like, I need to, like, go live in Canada. I'm gonna be a Canadian. I'm gonna go to Canada and be like, yo, let me in, bro. I heard y'all motherfuckers have some free healthcare, bro. I'm trying to get that free healthcare. Oh shit, weekend summon. Damn, I forgot this shit existed. All right. Yeah, let me do a couple of these. Let me do a couple of these before this shit disappears. But again, you see what I'm talking about. I'm low key in a bad mood today because I have to go to take one of my parents' cars to go get fixed. And after that, their car gets fixed, because my parents are like adults and they talk to each other and they're, you know, very amicable. I have to give my car to my dad to use for like a week because he doesn't want to pay for a rental. And like, what's hilarious is, like, I asked my mom, I'm like, yo, you know, you don't drive anywhere, you're not going anywhere, can you let him use your car? And my dad, dude, it was crazy. My dad pays for the car. He pays for, damn, squad deep. My dad pays for the car. He pays for everything, right? Technically, it's his car. And she's like, fuck him. He's not using my car. He's a piece of shit, da-da-da. And it's like, bro, I understand 3 years ago at this point, you know, he ran off. He got a different bitch, you know what I mean? He was out there doing side bitch mentality type of moves. I understand that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's right. But at the same time, like, you're really going to make me give up my fucking car and give up my mobility? Now I gotta fucking, like, give him my shit. I'll best believe, though, at the end of the day, that car's ended up gonna get used. Because, like, while my car is away, you know what I mean? If I get a booty call in the middle of the night, you know I gotta go, bro. You know I gotta drive out there. That was just an example. Like, I said that to try to sound cool. In reality, when I say, like, quote-unquote booty call in the middle of the night, it basically means that I get hungry at 3 a.m. and I go to White Castle. But I'm not trying to have motherfuckers look at me as a lame, you know what I mean? You understand where I'm coming from. I'm on that Dan Bilzerian wave, you know what I mean? I always gotta have hoes around me. I always gotta have that persona going. It's one of those things where you just want to look good and feel good. And I think I'll do one more multi and then cut it off, because I am actually going... Ooh, Tien and Yang? Oh, Tien and Yang. Tien and Xiaotsu. Very nice. Very, very nice. Damn, bro, we're getting lucky out this bitch, man. SSRs every multi? Crack screen every multi? Come on, son. We out here making money moves, boy. I low-key, I'm gonna do this until I don't get an SSR. That sounds better to me. Now that I said that, I'm sure it'll be the next multi. Let's see. Let's go ahead and summon. Alright, let's see. Tien, Trunks, go on. Mixed bag. Okay, so he's base. So, man, I honestly would like to crack screen, because there's nothing more depressing than a base summon. Oh, no. Base summon, bro. The only people who like base summons is base heads. Terrible. Absolutely positively terrible. Alright, so there we go. We got that L multi, but, yeah, you know, at the end of the day, I don't know. I like I said, I low-key am in a bad mood because I got to go do that shit today. But, listen, not everything's negative. Not everything's terrible. I got a new job. I got new things going. I low-key woke up in a bad mood today. But, listen, at the end of the day, at the very least, at least I got to ruin someone else's day. Whoever's watching this, hopefully I fucked it up for you too, because misery loves company. And you know the waves, bro. You know how you got to bring other people down. Crabs in a bucket mentality.